You have to write that plan. The first level was what? I forgot.
Physical cultural.
Yeah, systems-based practices, which is a cultural. So that's your normal starting point, remember? And trap cropping, which is here, and I'll explain to you what's going on. Trap cropping is one way of cultural control. What we're trying to do is we're trying to attract leaf-footed bugs on this experiment, leaf-footed bugs away from our main crop, which is tomato. Now what we have done here is, now if you look at the layout, you guys are standing higher up, you guys kind of see those two long rows of trap crops, okay? The trap crop was planted about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of the main crop, which is tomato. You can see they're hiding between the nutsedge and all, but we are doing something about that tomorrow. But they were planted ahead. The idea is you want the trap crop to come out early and establish itself. Remember, the food that the leaf-footed bugs are after is that head, not the leaves. Although we have 2 rows of sorghum, and those 2 rows hide a lot of beneficials, we have found out. In fact, you will see a small population of aphids infesting these trap crops, and you will see syrphid flies feeding on them. So it is helping, and to some extent, keep that biological control and help it, because we have not done anything yet to this crop. But once it heads out, that green stage, that milk stage, is very attractive to leaf-footed bugs. Now we have what we call a perimeter trap crop. So it's kind of on the periphery, so it's trying to demonstrate what you can do on a big farm. Now the layout will differ on each farm. If you know what insects you're trying to control, where the insects are coming from, oftentimes you can tell that by looking at your fruit drop, your damage. You will find certain areas are extremely damaging than others. So most likely insects are migrating from that end. So then you can change the layout, okay? But what we have done here is we have 2 different varieties of sorghum. The 2 you see here is the NK300 variety. That variety is extremely attractive to leaf-footed bugs. The green head, as it matures to purple, it starts attracting more leaf-footed bugs. And then it's done, basically. So in ideal situation, an organic producer, because we don't have insecticides for leaf-footed bugs or sting bug control, you can use successive plantings of trap crops. So keep planting trap crop in front or ahead of your main crop, so that you have continuum of food available for these bugs. Does that make sense? It's more management intensive, so it's not easy. That's why we struggle with these experiments too. That's what we have always, in Alabama conditions, our challenges with our heat levels, we have tried to separate the planting time of these 2 crops, the main crop and the trap crop. We're still trying to struggle. Last year we did 2-week delay. This year we did 3 weeks delay, and it seems like we still have to do further delays. So that timing is constant struggle between the North Alabama and the South Alabama, where we have these experiments going on. But again, it's basically demonstrating that you can keep the bugs out. I like the perimeter type because when the insects come, they stay out of your main crop. If you put these trap crops in the strips in the middle, the insects fly over and they still land on your main crop. I like these designs where it's outside. Some of the California strawberry producers who have done this on large acres, they have done those strips in between and been very successful. But I think to us, our pest pressures are incredible in some places. In Bruton, where we have done this experiment last year, I had the group come out and actually stand and scout inside the sorghum. We separated the arms so people could stand, and you can actually hear the buzz of the leaf-footed bugs. You ask Randy Ackridge, who is the station director, he will tell you. And what we did is, that was a conventional trial, so we treated the trap crop with insecticide to kill the leaf-footed bugs there. Okay? As organic producer, you don't have that option. So what your option is get out of production. Don't push your planting date too much into August, so that you don't have that late crop hammered with insects. Usually insects go through, like lepidopterans, moths will go through 5 generations a year, and they build up in large numbers, and then that last crop is riddled with holes and all kinds of sting bug damage. So again, going back to insecticide, if everything else fails, if all the level 1, level 2 fails, remember these 4 insecticides you must have if you are a producer, because you don't have much time to react. And that's true, which happened this year. Farmers went in, and Lee, this is true for producers down south I worked with. They went in early to plant, almost 2 weeks ahead of schedule this year because of warm winter.
Right.
Flea beetles and caterpillars early. And now I think they go through an extra generation this year because it's been so warm and they started their life early. But these are some of the products, and these are mostly caterpillar products. Remember, most of these are caterpillars. Only pyrethrum has somewhat activity against sting bugs, squash bugs. You will see some reports say yes, they'll work, some say no. So it's kind of a, I don't know where the science is headed, but at least these are some of the products that, I think the problem with pyrethrum is the dosage. If you reduce and cut back on the dosage, insects will recover. And I think I mentioned that in the class, so you have to be real careful. The others are kind of growth regulators and internal poisons, and insect has a hard time to recover from those. This is a nerve poison. Any questions about trap crop? And you're free to go if we have time. We can go in and look for things. But right now, it's not headed. The sunflower, which is the wild type, we call it, has not worked for us really well this year. And my problem with recommending sunflower is pollinators. It attracts so many bees and bumblebees, and I hate spraying that or doing anything to that. It seems like it draws in more and it's beneficial. So we still don't have a good sunflower variety. I just met some Florida guys, and they have changed the variety. There's a different variety now that they're working with, so I have to switch my variety. But these are all planted together, these trap crops, and the sunflower is just beginning to head. So in a few weeks they will start blooming, and it looks beautiful from if you're marketing, if you're trying to attract some consumers, have some trap crops. I've done that in one of the farms in Addison, Alabama, not too far from here, Brennan Farm. They have sunflower rows of trap crops, and it just looks beautiful. It didn't work as a trap crop, but it looks beautiful. It draws in people. The last thing, and I'll finish with this, I gave you a sheet that has our insect monitoring data from last 2 years. We don't have the last year data. I have still to compile. But the idea is to use some of these devices to scout better. It won't tell you how many caterpillars are in your crop. It won't do the scouting for you, but it will tell you when they're going to get bad and what is going to get bad, what insect to expect. So if you're an organic farmer, basically when you do your paperwork for organic farming, you have to write an IPM plan. Some of this information can go into that IPM plan, that yes, you know what insects are out there, and after doing this 2 years, you don't have to do this your lifetime. Just do it 2 years so that you have consistent data of what insects are on your farm. Now these are pheromone traps, so they have a lure inside, and this is by the way called a wing trap. One of the cheapest trap. It has a plastic top that you can use 2 years actually, and then it will start cracking in our heat. And this bottom is actually cardboard, and it has a sticky surface. That's the lure that attracts the moths. Okay. Now that lure is specific for corn earworm, and you can see one of the moths sticking there. The idea is not to have too many. You should not put many lures on there, because then you will get confused what insect it is. One lure, one trap, and place these traps outside your garden, so they kind of stay outside, and check them once every week or more often, depending on your pest pressure. If you see this covered, you will see if you put, I don't know where my beet armyworm is, but the beet armyworm is almost to the peak flight right now, and you can see the beet armyworm's number go like 27 in a trap. So it's covered. Squash vine borer. Squash vine borer is an insect you can't see because it has a life cycle in the soil. Okay, organic farmers have a hard time pinpointing what's the pressure. If you're a squash producer, almost everybody is a squash producer. So if you put some of these traps, it helps you to understand those generations, how bad they are, and rotate your crop so that you let those insects starve out, because that's one of you don't have any soil insecticide in organics. That's one of the bad parts. But this is just a monitoring tool. You still have to scout your crop. Remember, that's the essential tool. And if you are pursuing or certified organic like you are, you should be. I can provide you the trap, and I'll teach you how to do it. The data is yours. But that's one way to help producers out who want to try this and do it 2 years. You will have more confidence in how you're farming. But that's the gist of it. Any questions? Any questions?
What about using DE? Diatomaceous earth.
It's a bulky product to move. It's hard to apply. I don't know. It works. Basically, what it does, it changes the surface characteristics, so the insect is confused. what it is landing on. So it messes up their sensory system. But again, it's not rain fast.
No.
What I've heard.
No.
It's not rain fast, so you have to reapply consistently.
But you can use it in the ground as well, the ground trap.
And as a ground, these insects are extremely mobile. They will move out if they feel.
No, I mean like when you're prepping your ground.
In the ground.
I've never done it.
I've
I
never
just got
tried
a
it
farmer
either.
that does it, so I'm just curious.
I have not done it. I wonder if it will do any changes to the soil characteristics. I'm not so much of a soil person.
You wouldn't be putting out enough.
So it's a good question. I have to find a producer who can do it, Mike. Let me know who does that.
Okay, we have a really
We have
successful farmer that uses
Really?
it, and so, but we don't know anyone that's done like any actual, like you would
Pest.
do. Really,
Yeah,
like a real
I'm
test.
interested to find out.
Okay.
Yes, Lee.
Are those products without a surfactant or spreader sticker rain fast, or do you need to think on that you're going to be reapplying not just because of sun but because of
these?
irrigation? Yes.
Yeah, very good question. You are the only person who asked me about surfactant. I would mention spinosad. Spinosad needs a surfactant. This spinosad, it has what we call a translaminar action. It's not a big word if I have time to write, but translaminar means if you apply the product on the top, it tends to seep inside to the other side and shows up. So you may have a better chance of getting insect control that way, the top and the bottom. By adding surfactant, that action is even better. That's why the spinosad, that's organic, the Entrust, it comes with a on the label it says add. So it helps.
Okay.
It helps that with that, and of course with surfactant you get better coverage.
Is there an OMRI approved surfactant that you think of?
A surfactant. Are you saying
Spreader sticker
Spreader
and
sticker.
or it
like soap? Is that what you're saying?
is it breaks the these
Breaks the
fellows-
surface
it's
break the
simpler,
water
so-
tension,
Yeah.
make it spread out.
Could you use like Dr. Bonner's, the natural soaps, or
Good question. I have to investigate that one. Organic surfactant. I mean, certified organic. There's home-based products that they sell as organic. I mean,
All of these materials break down very quickly.
Yes.
yeah, they will.
The
heat.
You're lucky if you get 2 to 3 days. Effective.
It may not be.
It doesn't matter.
It won't be cost effective to spend the extra money for the surfactant. Then.
No, we use a surfactant with everything we do because you get a better wetting and sticking action, and you get better coverage that way. I mean, so I definitely use the surfactant or the spreader sticker, but you're just not going to get a long
Yeah.
residual activity out of any of these products.
The other thing I heard
oil.
from. Oh,
sorry.
right, sorry.
We use insecticidal oils, but they're only good against your soft-bodied insects. They're not going to give you any activity against your lepidopteran insects.
you gotta have something to break that surface tension and make it stick? Your water.
The other thing I heard is the tank mix that nobody asked me is how can you tank mix some of the products? I'm finding out some of these products like BT is pretty good tank mix with pyrethrum.
Huh.
I haven't tried it, but you get a very broad spectrum control. You get the caterpillar here and some of the sucking insect pests with here. Even some of the beetles like cucumber beetles. So you get 2 with that. I'm not sure if spinosad and BT, not sure about that.
I was wondering if there might be a rotation of those products if you have a major infestation and you're essentially in a rescue rescue mode, that you might hit them hard with the pyrethrin and then come right behind with one of the other longer, because you've already made them weak or sick. But if they were to begin to recover, then you've hit them again. I don't know. I'm just.
Well, remember
asking.
that caterpillar when I was last finishing off that diagram I brought with a bell-shaped curve? You always, you start with the soft products, and I think I was talking to Arnold right after that, our talk there, that we start with the softer chemistries, softer insecticides early in the season, because it takes time to act like BT. Don't have knockout product, and it's cooler then to apply than now when it's so hot, when BT will die in 2 days. So apply them early, use them early as a preventive, and if it gets worse, switch to spinosad or pyrethrum, and then go back to soft chemistries. So you rotate that, but the problem again is you only have these 4, and maybe insecticidal oil to that, add soap and some of the oils, but even with oils, I haven't got such good. I mean, like aphids.
We
High
use
pressure?
oil, I use MP. We scout everything, and we use the MP if we have aphids or whiteflies. But you got to be scouting it, and when you first see them, is when you got to hit them. When they're full blown, you know.
Yes, sir.
Then you're
Are you using a particular application band or anything trying to get up underneath the leaves with an oil like that being a contact?
we have an airplane.
Air blade. Okay.
What about like your orange oil, which is a contact killer?
Haven't tried it.